What if I told you that Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet known for providing over 14,000 documented psychic readings, unveiled a surprising truth about soulmates that many people overlook? What if your soulmate is not someone you are still trying to find, but rather someone who is already present in your life? Only you fail to see the signs. Before we delve into these transformative insights from Cayce's documented readings, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. Today, we're revealing spiritual truths that could change your perspective on every relationship you have. If you have ever experienced a strange and inexplicable bond with someone, leave a comment below, as what you are about to learn could shed light on everything. Here's what we will examine, drawing from Cayce's actual readings. To begin with, the unique psychic signatures that indicate soulmate connections, as outlined in reading 14.7.21. Next, the ways in which past life ties influence our current relationships, based on insights from over 300 life readings. Finally, the astonishing discovery regarding soul groups, revealed by Cayce in reading 254.68, fundamentally alters our understanding of destined relationships. Edgar Cayce's research conducted at his center in Virginia Beach uncovered something truly mind-blowing about the nature of relationships. In reading 14.7.21, delivered in 1937, Cayce clarified that soulmates are not merely romantic partners. They can also be friends, family members, and even individuals who present us with significant challenges. The text discussed the idea that souls move in groups, reincarnating together in various lifetimes to navigate spiritual lessons and karma. What makes this particularly fascinating, and what even surprised Cayce's stenographer, Gladys Davis, during her initial transcription, is that the sleeping prophet disclosed, we frequently fail to identify our soulmates. This occurs because we tend to seek out Hollywood-style romance rather than true spiritual connection. We anticipate dramatic sparks when, in reality, we should be focusing on feelings of familiarity, comfort, and an indescribable sense of returning home. Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever encountered a person and felt an instant connection, as if you'd known them for ages? According to Cayce's insights, this phenomenon is known as soul recognition. In reading 2671, he recounted the story of a woman who frequently dreamed of a man she had never crossed paths with in her current life. Upon finally meeting him at a business conference in New York, she was instantly struck by an overwhelming sense of déjà vu. The reading disclosed that they had been married in 3 past lives, each time navigating similar spiritual lessons. Here's what Cayce disclosed in reading 254.68 that will transform your perspective on every individual you encounter. He mentioned that prior to our incarnation, we establish agreements with other souls regarding the roles we will undertake in each other's spiritual journey. Certain souls consent to be lovers, while others take on the roles of friends, mentors, or even opponents who aid in our growth. The crucial aspect is to acknowledge these spiritual agreements, looking beyond mere romantic satisfaction. However, there's an even deeper insight that Cayce uncovered about recognizing souls, and I'll share that revelation shortly. Initially, I want to share the recorded case of David and Margaret from reading 3D9022, which was presented in 1943. David arrived at Cayce in a state of confusion, seeking insight into the challenges of his marriage, which he found both frustrating and essential. His wife, Margaret, drove him up the wall with her inflexible nature, yet he felt an undeniable attraction to her. The reading uncovered that in a past life in ancient Egypt, David was a priest, and Margaret served as a temple worker. Their present-day marital difficulties were, in fact, chances to rectify karma from that earlier existence. during which David had taken a domineering role while Margaret had displayed a rebellious spirit. After they grasped this spiritual aspect, their relationship shifted from discord to intentional collaboration. This is precisely where Cayce's insights become particularly relevant for contemporary Americans. In Reading 1315-3, he clarified that recognizing a soulmate isn't about discovering someone who fulfills you, but rather identifying someone who aids you in becoming whole. The sleeping prophet possessed a profound foresight in realizing that healthy relationships necessitate two complete individuals, rather than two halves in search of fulfillment. Here's the surprising element that many individuals overlook regarding Cayce's teachings on soulmates. In Reading 1436-3, it was disclosed that it's possible to have several soulmates throughout a single lifetime, and they aren't necessarily all romantic in nature. A soulmate could be your closest friend, your challenging mother-in-law, or even that demanding boss who encourages your personal growth, as they might all be honoring a soul contract with you. However, what truly astonished the researchers at the Association for Research and Enlightenment was their analysis of hundreds of Cayce's life readings. The sleeping prophet consistently emphasized that the most crucial soulmate connection is the one you establish with yourself. In Reading 26-289, he articulated that until you fully learn to embrace and love yourself, you will continue to attract relationships that reflect your inner struggles. Now, allow me to outline the specific signs that Cayce identified as indicators of soulmate connections, as these are tangible cues you can observe in your own experiences. Firstly, there is an immediate sense of familiarity. This doesn't always imply romantic attraction, but rather a feeling of having known this person for a long time. Secondly, there's seamless communication. You connect on a level where detailed explanations are unnecessary. Additionally, there's a sense of shared development. Regardless of whether the relationship is smooth or difficult, it encourages both individuals to grow spiritually. In Reading 1981-1, Cayce discussed a concept that contemporary psychology is only starting to grasp. He indicated that soulmates frequently share dreams, have aligned thoughts, or encounter what we now refer to as telepathic links. The text described an instance involving a woman from Virginia Beach who would dream about her sister located in California. These dreams occurred on the very nights her sister faced personal challenges, despite the fact that they hadn't been in touch for several months. Yet, this is where Cayce's insights can significantly impact your present life. In Reading 1598-1, he elaborated that recognizing your soulmates goes beyond merely understanding past lives or spiritual ties. It's about awakening to the sacred essence of all relationships. Once you begin to view each individual in your life as a soul who chose to share this journey with you for collective growth, everything transforms. This transforms your overall view on challenging relationships. The individual who provokes you the most could actually serve as your most significant mentor. The friend who continually stands by you might be reciprocating a love you experienced in past lives. The family member who consistently tests you might be assisting you in cultivating the patience and compassion you committed to learn in this lifetime. The case recorded in Reading 2031 exemplifies this beautifully. A woman approached Cayce, feeling exasperated by her teenage daughter's defiant actions. During a reading, it was uncovered that in a past life in ancient Rome, the daughter had been the mother, who had been exceedingly lenient, whereas the present mother had been the daughter, characterized by recklessness and a lack of responsibility. In this lifetime, they were switching roles to achieve a sense of equilibrium. Gaining insights into this spiritual connection enabled both the mother and daughter to engage with their relationship with greater patience and insight. Here's an astonishing fact regarding Cayce's insights on soul groups. In Reading 254-68, he disclosed that groups of souls frequently reincarnate together, alternating roles to aid one another's spiritual growth. The family you have now may consist of souls who were once your friends, adversaries, instructors, or pupils in past lives. All of you are united here to navigate shared karma and assist one another in your spiritual journeys. However, there's an even more astonishing insight regarding how to identify these soul connections in your everyday existence. This finding emerged from the work of researchers at the Edgar Cayce Foundation in Virginia Beach, who examined patterns across numerous readings. Cayce frequently mentioned that soulmates typically have aligned life purposes or spiritual missions. They are attracted to similar forms of service, healing, or creative endeavors. In Reading 1747-5, Cayce detailed a pair who repeatedly encountered one another in various cities throughout America, despite having no rational explanation for being in the same locations. Both individuals were healers, motivated by a desire to assist those suffering from chronic illnesses. The reading disclosed that they had previously collaborated as healers in ancient Egypt, Atlantis, and medieval Europe. Their souls were irresistibly connected to pursue their mutual purpose of healing in this lifetime. This is where Cayce's teachings proved to be exceptionally valuable for contemporary spiritual seekers. Rather than frantically looking for your soulmate, begin to focus on those already in your life who resonate with your spiritual values, life mission, or healing journey. The individual in your meditation circle who intuitively grasps your thoughts could very well be a soulmate. Likewise, that co-worker who shares your enthusiasm for helping others might be honoring a soul contract with you. Here's a revelation that took even Cayce by surprise during Reading 26-89. The sleeping prophet received the insight that the key to recognizing your soulmate lies in ceasing to seek completion externally and beginning to acknowledge the divine spark present in every individual you encounter. This isn't just trendy spiritual talk. It's well-documented wisdom from one of America's most credible psychics. The practical implications of this teaching are groundbreaking. When you begin to perceive everyone as a soul experiencing humanity just as you are, your relationships transform into avenues for shared spiritual development instead of mere personal satisfaction. You begin to shift your focus from "what can this person do for me?" to "what can we learn from each other?" In Reading 1436-3, Cayce discussed that soulmate connections frequently require a balancing of what he referred to as soul debts from past lifetimes. This does not imply punishment. Instead, it presents chances to demonstrate forgiveness, service, or understanding that you may have previously withheld. Each difficult relationship offers an opportunity to select love instead of fear, forgiveness rather than resentment, and service in place of selfishness. The recorded instance from Reading 3902 also illustrates how this concept is applied in real life. A man approached Cayce, puzzled about his strong urge to care for his aging mother-in-law, who had treated him poorly for many years. The reading uncovered that in a past life, he had deserted her when she was old and defenseless. In this current life, he was presented with a chance to show the love and compassion he had previously denied her. Once he grasped this spiritual connection, his role as a caregiver transformed into a source of joy instead of a weight. However, what's truly remarkable about Cayce's teachings on soulmates is that it can fundamentally alter your perspective on every relationship you have. In Reading 15-9-81, he emphasized that we are all linked at a soul level, suggesting that each individual you encounter is essentially a member of your broader soul family. While some connections may be more intimate than others, every interaction presents a chance for spiritual development and awareness. For instance, the driver who unexpectedly cuts you off in traffic may be providing a moment to cultivate patience. The cashier experiencing a difficult day might be giving you an opportunity to show compassion. Meanwhile, a friend who consistently supports you could be honoring a soul contract intended to help you recognize your own value. Each relationship transforms into something sacred when viewed from the perspective of spiritual intent. Cayce provided a practical approach in Reading 26289 for identifying soulmate links. Firstly, take note of individuals who evoke strong emotions within you, whether they are positive or negative. Intense responses often signal a recognition of the soul. Secondly, be mindful of connections where you experience unique synchronicities or impactful coincidences. Lastly, pay attention to relationships that feel both familiar and important, regardless of the challenges they may present. The Sleeping Prophet uncovered insights that contemporary relationship specialists are only starting to grasp. In Reading 1436.3, he clarified that not all soulmate relationships are intended to be everlasting from a human perspective. Certain soul connections are designed to be short-lived, yet impactful, while others may last for entire lifetimes. The essential point is to acknowledge the spiritual significance of each connection, instead of attempting to fit all relationships into a single framework. This teaching offers profound freedom to those who have encountered intense, albeit fleeting, connections. The individual who entered your life for just a few months, yet transformed your viewpoint permanently, may have played the role of a soulmate with a distinct mission. It's not necessary to be with someone for a lifetime to recognize their spiritual importance. In Reading 1981-1, Cayce referred to instances of soul recognition, where two individuals suddenly perceive each other's genuine spiritual essence. These instances commonly arise during profound discussions, shared experiences of beauty or hardship, or moments of collective service. The moment of recognition may be brief, yet it forges a connection that goes beyond mere physical interaction. This insight has the potential to change your perspective on dating and relationships entirely. Rather than seeking a partner who fulfills your checklist of criteria, aim to find someone who enhances your greatest spiritual attributes. Cayce often emphasized that soulmates aid one another in becoming more loving, forgiving, compassionate, and focused on service. They nurture each other's spiritual growth instead of merely pursuing individual happiness. The case detailed in Reading 2067-1 exemplifies this perfectly. A woman found herself caught between two suitors eager to propose to her. One suitor was affluent and charismatic, yet he triggered her materialistic inclinations. The other was humble and gentle, encouraging her to cultivate compassion and a desire to serve others. The reading indicated that the second man was her true soulmate, as he fostered her spiritual development, despite the first man being more attractive to her personality. However, the most significant insight regarding soulmate recognition that Cayce conveyed in Reading 254 and 68 is this: the deepest soulmate bond is the one established with your own higher self, your divine essence. Unless you acknowledge and embrace the divinity within you, you will continue to project your longing for divine love onto others, leading to unrealistic hopes and inevitable letdowns. This message is transformative for contemporary Americans who have been socialized to find fulfillment through romantic connections. Cayce emphasized that genuine soulmate recognition occurs when two individuals who are already spiritually whole opt to evolve together instead of relying on one another for completion. This fosters connections that stem from spiritual empowerment instead of emotional dependency. In Reading 26289, Cayce elaborated on the idea that when you genuinely love yourself at a soul level, you effortlessly draw in relationships that embody that love. You will no longer tolerate any treatment that fails to acknowledge your divine essence, and you instinctively extend the same respect and love to others that you've begun to offer yourself. This generates a magnetic resonance that attracts true soulmate connections. The practical implementation of this principle is truly life-changing. Rather than seeking out your soulmate, dedicate your energy to evolving into the type of person who naturally draws in and identifies soul connections. Nurture your spiritual journey through practices such as meditation, prayer, and acts of service. Focus on mending your emotional scars and challenging your limiting beliefs. Be true to yourself instead of conforming to what you believe others desire from you. Here's an important insight that could transform your perspective on relationships. In Reading 1598-1, Cayce disclosed that everyone you are destined to meet in this lifetime is already linked to you on a soul level. This indicates that your soulmates are naturally coming into your life in ways that might seem coincidental, yet are truly a reflection of spiritual attraction. There's no need for you to seek them out actively. Instead, you should be open to recognizing them when they show up. This insight alleviates the stress and urgency many experience regarding the quest for their soulmate. Rather than urgently searching, you can have faith that the universe is already arranging the encounters necessary for your spiritual development. Your task is to remain receptive, conscious, and in harmony with your highest spiritual intention, enabling you to identify these connections as they arise. The recorded instances from Cayce's readings reveal that recognizing soulmates frequently occurs in the most mundane settings. Individuals encounter each other at their workplaces, via mutual friends, in supermarkets, or during community gatherings. The enchantment lies not in the situations themselves, but in acknowledging the spiritual bond that goes beyond an everyday encounter. However, there's one more vital element of Cayce's soulmate teachings that I've yet to discuss, and this could be the most significant insight of all. In Reading 5749-14, delivered in 1941, Cayce introduced what he termed the soulmate activation process. This is a particular method he outlined for awakening latent soul connections and identifying soulmates who already exist in your life, albeit at a superficial level. The Sleeping Prophet indicated that numerous soulmate bonds remain dormant because we often operate from our personality instead of our true soul essence. In Reading 262-114, he elaborated on how meditation and spiritual practices can genuinely alter your vibration, enabling you to become more recognizable to other souls intended to connect with you in this lifetime. According to Cayce's readings, this isn't just a metaphor. It represents a true energetic transformation that draws soul family members to you. Here is the documented example from Reading 1735-2 that illustrates this principle. A man named Robert had experienced loneliness for many years, finding it difficult to establish genuine relationships despite his social success. The reading indicated that he was solely functioning from his ego mind, which hindered his ability to recognize his soul. Cayce recommended a dedicated meditation routine centered on unconditional love for a duration of 30 days. In less than 6 weeks, Robert encountered 3 individuals who would become lifelong friends and spiritual allies. The reading clarified that his meditation routine had awakened his soul essence, enabling him to be seen by other souls in search of similar spiritual bonds. This lesson holds significant relevance for contemporary Americans experiencing spiritual loneliness. You may be in the company of possible soulmates who, unfortunately, cannot identify you because you aren't aligned with your true soul essence. The meditation technique suggested by Cayce in Reading 262-114 consists of dedicating 15 minutes each day to silence, concentrating on the phrase, "God is love and I am love expressing." This straightforward practice slowly dismantles the ego barriers that hinder soul recognition. However, this is where it becomes even more intriguing. In Reading 1567-2, Cayce disclosed that the links with soulmates frequently emerge during moments of turmoil or spiritual exploration. He elaborated that when we are devoid of our typical defenses and facades, the essence of our soul becomes clearer to those around us. This explains why individuals frequently encounter their most meaningful relationships during challenging times or significant life changes. The recorded instance from Reading 2124-3 exemplifies this beautifully. A woman called Sarah experienced the loss of her job and endured a challenging divorce, leaving her feeling utterly abandoned and directionless. In the midst of this tumultuous time, she began participating in a spiritual study group at a nearby church. It was there that she encountered Anna, who grew to be her dearest friend and spiritual ally. Through their readings, it was uncovered that Sarah and Anna had been siblings in ancient Egypt, collaborating as healers in the temples. This present bond was ignited by Sarah's spiritual turmoil, which allowed her heart to be open to the assistance her spirit required. This theme consistently surfaces in Cayce's insights. Connections with soulmates frequently manifest during times when we are most exposed and genuine. The turmoil we experience removes our social facades, enabling our real spiritual essence to become visible. Other souls destined to assist us are instinctively attracted to this genuine demonstration of our divine essence. Additionally, here's another compelling method from Reading 281-7 that Cayce provided for identifying soulmate connections. He referred to it as the heart recognition technique. Prior to significant meetings or social events, take a few moments for prayer or meditation, requesting the ability to identify any soul connections that could be there. During the occasion itself, notice those individuals who evoke feelings of warmth, expansion, or tranquility in your heart. This emotional reaction signifies your soul acknowledging another soul it has encountered in the past. Furthermore, the Sleeping Prophet disclosed insights that will transform your perspective on online dating and the quest for modern relationships. In Reading 1436-7, he clarified that the bond between soulmates is fundamentally energetic rather than physical. This indicates that soul connections can be identified through written messages, common interests, or even images, provided you are spiritually aligned. The essential element is to perceive the soul's essence beyond the outward personality. However, the most groundbreaking part of Cayce's insights on soulmates that often goes unnoticed is found in Reading 254-95, where he disclosed that some of your crucial soulmate connections during this lifetime may involve individuals with whom you never have a physical encounter. He referred to these as Esoteric soulmates, souls that encourage your spiritual growth through inspiration, synchronicities, or energetic links over distances. This concept is especially pertinent for contemporary Americans who find direction from authors, educators, or spiritual leaders whom they have never encountered face to face. Cayce posits that these connections hold the same weight and importance as physical interactions. In Reading 1598-7, he recounted a woman who experienced a deep bond with a spiritual mentor she had never met, yet whose writings profoundly impacted her life. This reading disclosed that they had once been student and teacher in ancient Greece, and their soul bond continues in this life through his literary works. This broadens the concept of soulmate relationships beyond just typical romantic or friendly classifications. A soulmate could be an individual whose art motivates you, whose music brings you peace, or whose words enhance your spiritual awareness. The bond exists on a soul level, regardless of whether you ever occupy the same physical environment. Here's how you can practically apply this to improve your everyday life. Begin to notice those who inspire you from afar. The writer whose works invariably offer precisely the insights you seek. The artist whose melodies resonate deeply with your spirit. The educator whose digital materials continually nurture your personal development. As noted in Cayce's readings, such bonds are frequently soulmate connections functioning on an etheric plane. In Reading 26289, Cayce provided particular advice on enhancing these intangible soulmate links. He suggested sending affectionate thoughts and appreciation to those who inspire you, even if they are unfamiliar. This forms an energetic link that can strengthen the spiritual assistance you gain from these relationships. Numerous individuals have mentioned that after utilizing this method, they begin to receive even greater and more meaningful inspiration from these far-off soul connections. The Sleeping Prophet also disclosed the definitive way to identify genuine soulmate bonds in Reading 14727. He stated that real soulmate relationships consistently motivate you to evolve spiritually, to be more loving, more forgiving, and more inclined to serve others. If a relationship repeatedly triggers your lesser instincts, promotes spiritual inertia, or diverts your attention from spiritual development to material concerns, it could be a karmic bond that requires healing instead of a nurturing soulmate connection. However, this doesn't imply that soulmate relationships are devoid of challenges. In Reading 39025, Cayce pointed out that certain soulmate connections necessitate navigating tough karma together. The key distinction is that these demanding relationships ultimately foster spiritual advancement and deeper love for both individuals. As a result, you both become more evolved and better equipped to love without conditions. The illustrated instance from Reading 2037 demonstrates the practical application of this concept. A couple sought guidance from Cayce due to ongoing strife in their marriage, yet felt trapped in separating. The reading indicated that they had been adversaries in a past life and were now striving to evolve that hostility into compassion and affection. Their disputes became chances to opt for love instead of animosity, and to embrace forgiveness rather than harbor resentment. As they adopted this spiritual viewpoint towards their conflicts, their relationship evolved into a strong partnership aimed at shared growth. Here's the ultimate insight from Cayce about soulmates that will transform how you view all your relationships. In Reading 574914, he disclosed that each individual you meet is either a soulmate providing a chance for spiritual development, or a teacher aiding you in cultivating the spiritual traits necessary to draw in more profound soulmate bonds. In the spiritual realm, there are no coincidences. This implies that even challenging or short-lived relationships contribute to your soul's growth. The individual who provokes your anger is imparting lessons in patience. The individual who lets you down is showing you how to be self-sufficient. The one who questions your convictions is guiding you toward embracing tolerance. Once you begin to view each relationship as a spiritual lesson, your whole existence transforms into a quest for soul acknowledgement and spiritual growth. In concluding our in-depth analysis of Edgar Cayce's insightful teachings on recognizing soulmates, keep in mind that the dormant wisdom of prophets is much broader than merely discovering romantic love. It encompasses acknowledging the sacred character of all your connections and realizing that everyone in your life serves as a catalyst for your spiritual development. Your soulmate could be your partner, your closest friend, or even a difficult family member. It may be someone you've recently encountered who encourages you to embrace love and authenticity, or perhaps an individual whose artistry resonates with you from afar. The essential aspect is to engage in each relationship with a sense of spiritual awareness, seeking opportunities for collective growth and acknowledgement, rather than merely pursuing personal happiness. Once you begin to view everyone as a soul navigating the human experience just like you, your life transforms into a voyage of soul recognition and spiritual advancement. If this exploration of Edgar Cayce's teachings has revealed new possibilities for your connections, consider expressing your gratitude by tapping the like button and sharing this video with someone who could gain from these insights. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, as we are merely beginning our journey into the deep insights left for us by the sleeping prophet. We invite you to share your personal experiences regarding soul recognition, or pose any inquiries about how to implement these teachings in your life in the comments below. Your spiritual path is important, and the ancient wisdom of Edgar Cayce is available to aid in your growth and awakening.